Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today I am here with very simple advice. Go and buy the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. Now, there are, of course, a number of caveats to that very blunt statement I just made. For instance, if, like me, you already have this and have already bought it, maybe don't. Maybe you don't need another one, or then maybe you do, as I'm going to explain in this video. Or maybe you just don't want one. Maybe you didn't want one initially, and more time has gone by, and you still don't want one, in which case, fine. That's absolutely fine by me. When I say go and buy one of these, what I mean is, if you have any interest whatsoever in ever picking one of these up, now is the time. And I make a lot of videos where I tell you not to buy stuff because it's the wrong time, because things are too expensive, etc., etc. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, I thought, well, let's buck that trend and let's come back and go, you know what? Now is the time to actually go and pick these up because things are looking good. These are $120 products. And they were initially hard to find, and people were scalping them crazy and all of that good stuff. And now, ladies and gentlemen, now it's kind of hilarious. Like, if I don't even bother looking very hard on eBay, and I don't really sit there and try and dig through, and I just look at the first couple, the $100, with free shipping, and that's really important. And obviously, you know, the people that are selling these, they're losing 10% to eBay fees, and then they're paying for shipping. So the people who are actually selling these are getting like $80 to $85. That's all they're actually getting for these. I told you a little while ago it was unscalpable. It remains months on unscalpable. But again, there is a reason why we need to start picking this up. I'll get there in a minute. So it's basically just, it's come down in price. And to be fair, you can save a few dollars if you really want to. I mean, here's a listing for $93 with free shipping. So, yeah, you absolutely can save a bit of money if you want to here. You don't have to pay $100 on eBay. What I mean is, if you want to pick one up on eBay, you can do it at $100 all day long, and it's kind of hilarious. If you want to try and get the absolute best price possible, that's fine. You can save yourself another $5-6 if you want to, but $100, you should never, ever, ever be paying more than $100 for this. It is a sub-$100 box at this point. And incidentally, I am loving this, ladies and gentlemen. I am absolutely loving this. But I do need to mention, this is one of those situations where if you wish, you can support your local game store. Because my local game store, Mad for Miniatures down in Cornwall, and I've made absolutely no bones about this, I love them. They're amazing. They are a great, great shop, and I want to support them where I can. And they just put a little post up there the other day that they have had a restock of the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection, and they're selling it at retail £120, one per customer. And look, yes, I know I've just shown you can pick it up cheaper on eBay. Unfortunately, this is not a sponsored video. I'm giving my local game store a shout out because they're awesome. And incidentally, I will happily pay a bit more to go to my local game store. I've done it with a bunch of products over a bunch of games. They're not actually that local. It's like a 2-hour round trip. But where I can, I'm absolutely fine doing so. The thing is, local game stores are starting to get these in. Also, I want it on the record that my local game store, Mad for Miniatures, they will sell at retail even where other shops are scalping. So if I'm happy to buy from them at retail when other places are scalping, you better believe I'm happy to pay for them at retail when other places are trying to undercut retail a little bit. That seems perfectly fair to me. But local game stores are starting to get these in, and look, I know for some of you that the extra kind of $20 is literally not doable. I know that you cannot pay $120, but you can pay $100. And look, I'm not saying you have to use your local game store or anything silly like that. All I'm telling you is, if you can, support your local game store, because we kind of need local game stores. They're pretty gosh darned important. Good. So the fact that it's $100 on eBay is great. The fact that you can pick it up from a lot of local game stores, they've just got them in stock, is absolutely great. And basically, now is the time. Now is the time to go with these. Because here's the thing, right? It's not going to last forever. It's just not. These boxes are not going to be super duper crazy cheap forever. There is and I don't know when it's going to be, I wish I did. But there is going to come a point where these become very expensive. Where these start climbing and they don't stop climbing. And at that point, you're going to wish you picked them up when you could. But it is important to note, it's never going to get quite like that. So if we let's take a random old Generations product. Let's take the Elite Trainer box for Generations. Yeah. It's like a $600 box. That's what you're paying for the Elite Trainer box for Generations. But there is a huge difference between Generations and the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. And that is that Generations came around at a time where people weren't desperately trying to pick up all the sealed product and hoard it, hoping it would go up in value. In fact, Generations is one of the main reasons people are doing that. Because for Generations, people were, the set, not the time period, people were actually just going and buying a product and opening it. And a few people were keeping sealed collections. And because there weren't that many there, that meant that, well, basically they jumped up in value because there just aren't that many around. But now, everybody's trying to do that. Everybody's trying to stash these boxes so they can make lots of money in the future selling them on. So you're not going to see that. You're not going to see the $50 Elite Trainer box of Generations going to $600. You're not going to see the equivalent. You're not going to see this for 12 times the price in just 5 years' time. It's not going to happen. But it is going to rise in price. Because it's still a Charizard box. And there are new Pokemon TCG fans entering the hobby every day. And there's going to come a point 5-10 years down the line where this is a very expensive box. Not going to be the same as Generations. It's not going to see that kind of leap. I would be stunned if it did. But there's going to come a point where the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection just sells out. And it's not available on shop shelves anymore. And you can't just go on eBay and pick it up for retail or less. And it is going to start climbing. Because it's still a Charizard box. And it's still awesome. And it's still got the promos. And now, ladies and gentlemen, now is a time you can pick this up and enjoy it before it's too late. And I promise you, one day, probably not in the too distant future, it is going to be too late. Because one thing that does need to be borne in mind here, even if you don't want the box, go and get the promos. Now is a great time to go and get the promos. I mean, if we take a look over on eBay, you can pick up a sealed version, a sealed pack of the promos for $40. Now, we know that some of them have centering problems, etc. We know that picking up a pack of all three might not be the best idea because you can't necessarily guarantee the condition of all three of them, etc. But I'm telling you that for like $40, you can pick up the set of 3 of them sealed on eBay, which is frankly absurd. And honestly, there are a couple that are a tiny bit less than that at this stage, which is also kind of hilarious, but kind of brilliant. The thing is, if you want to buy these promos separately, this is also a great, great time to pick up the promos. Like, nominally, the most expensive of them is the V-Star, but that's now like a $12 card. It's not holding any real value at all, which is brilliant. And I'm sorry, I am celebrating this. I am loving that these are cheap, because these are cool cards. So I kind of want them to end up being super cheap. That would make me very happy. The next one down the line, you've got the Charizard V Max, which has fallen down to a $12 card. And again, I'm showing you the graph for both of these. Well, for all 3 of them, actually, by the time we get to the end. And you'll notice there was a very steep drop. But even after the steep drop, there is still kind of a little bit of a trickle of this is still kind of falling. And this is still kind of awesome, honestly. And I'm absolutely loving it. And the Charizard V, which as far as I'm concerned, artwork-wise, is the best among them. I adore this card. And again, this started off as a $95 card. $7. $7 is what this is selling for. And it's got wonderful Kato artwork. And it's absolutely beautiful. I might pick up a few more of these. Because I absolutely adore the artwork. I very much enjoy Kato's work as an artist. And I'm just like, well, hang on a second. At this stage, if these are like $7 cards, why not? Why not pick up a few of these? Why not have a little bit of fun with it? So my advice to you is very, very simple. If you have even a passing interest in the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection, now is the time. It's dropped to sub $100, and you're probably, and it might still drop a tiny bit, but I don't think we're going to see it continually dropping like that. I do think we are kind of reaching the stage now where it is going to start creeping up and it is going to sell out. And when we get to that stage, people are going to really, really regret having not picked it up sooner. I mean, you'll notice if we look at the graph here, it has fallen very sharply, but it has leveled off. And the last three sales are 100, 100, 102. Maybe it does fall a little bit further. I don't think there's much more room to fall. And what's going to happen is there are a bunch of people who are going to go, oh, I'll go get that later. Ah, that's nice and cheap. I'll deal with it later. Ah, it's still falling. We're fine. And there's going to come a stage where it starts creeping up again. And before you know it, this is going to be a $250 box. And some people are going to be regretting it. As a side note, I'm not saying go and buy a bunch of Speculate, because like I've said, this is not the next generations. This is me telling all you lovely ladies and gentlemen that if you've been holding out, now might be the time to take a jump. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me if you've picked up the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. Tell me if you're interested. Tell me if you've now decided now is the time to do it. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And honestly, other Pokemon stuff. Just lots of things in general, honestly. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord and chat with us about Pokemon or anything else. And you can get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Andy White, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and seems to be a very lovely person. So thank you very much for the support and for being a very lovely person. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.